All right, and welcome back to another panel stream here on the Endless Summer UAE. This is Tony behind the scenes here, but I want to just introduce you to another panel of our awesome Endless Summer UAE team participants here. So I'm going to let them just take it away, and we can go around the room and get started on this panel today. So if you guys would want to just introduce yourselves, maybe talk a bit about your university, your experience, and we can go around and just discuss your experiences this summer and your experiences with programming and game development in general. So I'm going to let you guys take it away.
Okay.
You know what? Let's how about we start off with Muhammad here in the top left, just to kind of go and start off the introductions here.
Top left. You can check the stream.
Muhammad, are you there?
You can check the stream, Muhammad. Muhammad, go to the YouTube and then stream, and you see yourself there, top left. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
I think they're muted for some reason.
It might be a sound error here. You want to start off, Ajaz, so we can work on that sound error.
Okay. So hey guys, my name is Ajaz, and I'm from Team Hala Justice, and I have one more participant with me from my team, Fadi here. So I study in Abu Dhabi University, and I'm currently in my final year, and I'm hoping to graduate by end of next year. So inshallah. And I'm currently studying computer engineering, and this was kind of like a gig on the side that it's a hobby that I started, getting into games and making games, and eventually we got an opportunity to work with Endless Studio, and I'm really happy that our team got selected. So we're gonna get into more details about our game and the programming in general, how the challenges, like what were the challenges we tackled, and how we solved them, and all that stuff. And we'll get into that into more detail later on. So
okay. Hi everyone. I'm Hamad Khouri. I'm the main programmer from the group team. Nice to have you here on the stream. In the stream, we're gathering all the programmers from the other teams. We'll have a casual discussion about programming, how we got into programming in game development, and our challenges and experiences so far.
Hello everyone. So my name is Fadi. I also I just graduated from Abu Dhabi University as a computer engineering. So my part was also included programming.
Unfortunately, I think we're having some connection issues here, guys. Sorry about the technical difficulties here. I want to pass this over then to Etisham. If you haven't spoken yet, do you want to introduce yourself quickly as we work this through?
Yeah, sure. Hello everyone. I'm Etisham from Team Badriya and Stolen Pearl, and I am from New York University, Abu Dhabi. I'm a sophomore. I just finished my sophomore year, so I'll be just going into my junior year next fall. I was responsible for engineering and programming for our team Badriya, and yeah, it was a third-person game, and it was kind of like my first big project where we wanted to develop a full-stack game rather than working on small chunks. So it was a very enlightening experience, and I learned a lot during all that time. So I will be very happy to discuss with the team here.
All right. Okay, good.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't hear anyone else. I hope you can hear me.
If you want to introduce yourself, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, because I couldn't hear anyone else for some reason. So I think I'll just go ahead and give my introduction then. So hi, I'm Mohammed bin Aman. I'm the creative lead and sort of programmer for Kutban. So Kutban is a rally game that shows the racing culture of the UAE. I'm also from NYU Abu Dhabi, like at Isham. I'm a senior. I mostly, my majors are computer science and interactive media. I'm more specializing in game development. And I have somewhat experience with projects like these, but this is the first time I'm having such a long and extensive project for I don't know, it's been 5 months, right? 5-6 months?
6 months,
yeah. Yeah, so pretty cool and, pretty excited about, finishing up and, making this grand project.
Okay, good. since everyone introduced themselves.
I think Fadi is like, I think Fadi was cut off like mid introduction, so like let him.
Yeah, I thought I was lagging.
Yeah,
or
let's let him
something.
finish.
Okay.
That's okay. So I'll just want a small introduction. So what I do just in the game is mostly level designing and more facts about UAE. So I'm glad even being with the other programmers from other teams.
All right. Okay. I thought like we can start with how we chose game programming in the first place, and like how did we stumble upon Unity as a game engine. Like for example, on my side, first of all, like I wanted to have full control. Like as a programmer, you can like program whatever you want, like in plain integrated development environment, or just the programming blueprint. So when I discovered Unity, it was just like a huge bump, like in how productive I can become in programming. Just like programming the objects themselves, we just have like pre-made components, physics and lightning and like colliders and whatsoever. So speaking of which, it's really like game development is with these game engines, it's more easier than before.
Did you think that like why did you choose Unity? Like there is Unreal Engine. You know about Unreal Engine, right? So
Yeah.
why did you choose Unity over Unreal? I mean, if you look at the games that Unreal Engine can produce, right? With better graphics, with better programming. I think Unreal uses C++. I'm not fully sure, but
Yes.
but it's free too, right? So why did you choose Unity over Unreal?
First reason is the specs of the laptop that I have, which I don't think it will handle Unreal. So I went for Unity. Unity is lightweight, just like Godot. Godot is more lightweight, but Unity is has been there for a long time. So I
Yeah.
went for Unity. I learned.
I think that's the best reason, because Unity, like so many people use it, and if you have any errors or problems, and the community is so big, like at some point someone must have faced that error, and there's already a solution to that on the internet. You just have to find it. With Unreal, I tried looking up for like solutions, and there were like limited, very less people use it. I think it's used more by like professional studios, like who make games and stuff. But if you're a beginner, I would say Unity is the best choice
Yes.
with the amount of resources available. So
Good.
I got into game development because, well, I wanted to make something that it's in my mind into a reality, basically. And to be honest, why I chose programming was because I'm not really skilled in drawing and making artifacts and art stuff. So if I was really skilled in making good visuals, like VFX or shader graphs, I would definitely go into that, because programming sometimes it can be like it can really be a pain, the errors, debugging, it's really a stress.
Yes, likewise for artists. Like I know a couple of artists, like they want to learn programming, but like they go through a lot of headaches. So they try to find help. They try to find programmers that can help them out. It's just a really hard road for them. But in the end, they can make it.
Yeah, exactly. So can I ask, which was the first programming language that you studied?
C++.
Yeah, exactly. I think C++ was taught to like everyone. I think it was in my school that I learned C++. But so which is your favorite language then?
Like I don't discriminate between languages.
But you will have a preference, like one language over the other.
Like I started with C++ and I didn't really branch that out. The thing is, not most game engines like Unity has C#, which is from C++.
Yeah,
And
but
like for example, Godot has its own programming language, and some game engines have their own programming languages. Like there are lots of programming languages.
Yeah.
But the best thing you can do is focus on the programming language that you are learning.
Yeah, exactly. So, Fadi, which was the first language that you
The
You-
same
you-
also. It was C++.
do we have any Python lovers here?
Uh,
Oh yeah,
I love Python.
Etisham.
My favorite is Python also.
Etisham loves
Yeah.
Python. And
Yeah, I love it.
Python is simple.
so then you would
Yeah,
say that
because-
Python is your favorite language. Would you say that?
Yeah, definitely. Because Python, I mean, I started, into computer science, and the first language was Python. It was Visual
Mhm.
Basic first, actually, and then
Yeah.
I switched to Python because Visual Basic was also a pain. And I think Python is so powerful. You have everything available, and then you don't have to import assemblies or libraries or something. You can do whatever you want. You have different data types as well. So, but with C++, you have to learn all those data types. You have to, in our classes for CS, you have to make them, how to do the work and everything. It's
Yeah.
called data structures, I guess. So that's why I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
Python.
Yes, I completely agree.
Even now, many companies started to go from another language to Python now. So it's really the mainstream coding.
But
for
you
now.
won't see Python in game development. I mean, you'll mostly see
Yeah,
you
yeah.
have Java, you have C++, you have C#. You won't see Python in game development. The reason
Yeah.
is because Python is mostly used in artificial intelligence. So if you're really into artificial intelligence, you should give it a shot. Like try learning Python and how it plays out and stuff. My favorite language is C#, and I'll tell you why. So you have C++, which is more of a structured language, right? And then you have Java, which is object oriented. You create create objects of class, and then you use that object to get references, right? And C# is like a combination of both structured and object oriented, and that way you can have both the advantages and like disadvantages of both the programming languages. And with C++, I think you have to like type more with the header files and all that stuff. But with C#, it turns out like C# is like I love C#. It's my favorite language.
Good.
So we have a team. I think Kutpan was the one who was making a rally racing game. Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So which language was yours? Which was the
I
first
mean,
language?
obvious. So first it was Tisham, it was in Python.
here?
I hope everyone can hear me because
Yeah.
I've been disconnecting a lot. And sorry if I cut out someone before because
He's
I couldn't really
disconnecting
hear
from my
someone else.
side.
You
I don't think I can hear.
really?
No, I can hear you. I can hear you. Speak up.
Okay. That's fine.
I can hear you too,
Maybe. All right. Yeah, I started with Python. I really liked Python. I liked its simplicity and like beginners. But then immediately in the computer science curriculum, I was thrown into like C and C++, like, oh, here you go, pointers and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, what is this? It was a bit jarring to make that transition. Like, it was so easier. It was a bit more spoon-fed, and now you can easily do many other things that you have to make like proper class and stuff. And
Yeah,
like
exactly.
C++. Yeah, but over the time, I just get a hang of it. But particularly when it comes to like Unity and C#, it has its own flavor. It has its Unity-esque flavor where it has its own libraries, own special functions. And I think I grew to like them a lot more than like traditional programming.
That's nice. So I wanted to ask, like, are you guys like done with your game? Did you guys finish the development of your games? Like, is it 100% done, or do you guys are still polishing it?
It's
Still
mostly
getting polished.
yeah,
Our
polished.
Al-Ghurub game is still getting polished.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all of us right now are just polishing the final stages of the game.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So, did you guys have any programming challenges with your game? Any systems or something that you had to learn for the first time? You had to like work with. Like there are like many complications, like save system, whether it's shop system, but obviously you can tell more. Like tell me more about that.
I have one.
Okay.
Just beforehand, like I can't see Muhammad from Kuthban game, so if he is talking, just make a sign. Okay, so I'll continue with the challenge that I have from Al Ghurub. So since our game is a horror game, like the enemy needs to see the player at a distance.
Mhm.
So like first we had to like make a box collider that is triggered, just using trigger. But then like it was like the problem is it's a box, not like a vision.
Like a cone, like a
Yes,
cone.
like a cone.
Yeah.
So we had to use raycasting, raycasting is just like we program a line that just shoots at a specific range and checks what it hits. If it hits like it's a ground or an obstacle, it doesn't register it as a player. If it hits the player, it registers it as a player. So we have to play with that in debug mode for just feel how the enemy will interact with the player if it sees it. Like we had also to give like it's like if the enemy sees the hand of the player, it doesn't go extreme rage mode into the player. Like we give like a chance system, like a mercy system, if you whatever you can call it. So like it's like the enemy sees how many body parts of the player the enemy can see. We made a number for that.
So it doesn't register as a player until it sees enough number of like body parts, I would say.
Yes.
I think
Yes.
raycasting is better than using a collider because
Yeah.
collider it's always on, right? It's behind you, it's behind the enemy. So
Yes.
in a sense, if you're behind the enemy will still detect you even though he's not facing you. I think raycast was a better choice there.
Yes, that's right.
What about Ehtisham? Did you have any problems? I think you're the main programmer in your team, so
Yeah, so our game was quite complicated. I'm a big fan of all the climbing system games, Uncharted, Assassin's Creed, and everything. So I wanted to give this game that. So as with the gray casting for the whole climbing system, you have to detect ledges, you have to detect different objects. So with ray casting and layer collision, it was quite complicated, but I had to go into Unity training programs and see how to make that work properly. Even now, I with certain values that I made, I had to change a lot of things. For instance, like the distance between the layers and what animation is going to be played, and whether to use the root motion or to not to use root motion. So that whole thing was quite challenging. But then once I got comfortable with raycasting, I got the concepts, and making the combat system was kind of easy because for that enemy detection and everything, I could do it easily with raycasting. So yeah, that was me.
that's actually nice. That's nice. Everyone is using raycasting. And what about team? Which team is the really? I think Kutban. Is it Kutban? I keep messing up the names.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, you could go rally team. I don't mind that.
So
Well,
I think you had to design a car controller, right? Because you're.
yes. Yeah, the car controller, it was
How
a
did you
mess
do
to
it?
do.
Yeah, I know that. The thing is, before taking up this project, I was working on a car game, and I couldn't get like a perfect car controller that does everything that I want, but still, I'm still working on it.
Yeah, so I mean, it took some time to get it running, like over a month of all progress and stuff.
Yeah.
So we first started out with just following some tutorials and feedback from like Stack Overflow pages on how to get the realistic motion, like the car's tail sinks from backwards when you make a hard turn and all that. But after programming all of that just through looking at tutorials and stuff, you're like, this doesn't feel unrealistic. Like all the four wheels are moving at the same time. They don't react as dynamically as you could. I think the hardest thing for us was then coming up with a suspension system.
Oh,
So we
yeah.
had to make a suspension for each of the four wheels. Starting out, it was quite easy. So we found some cool resources that told us, oh, you can make something with dampening and stuff like that. But once we started, the car, for some reason, just hits a bump and becomes essentially a dancing car for the next 30 seconds. We're like, no, this isn't working. But through like math equations, like Panya could also tell you more about that. He's not here. But just messing around with values, adding more different types of dampening, changing around the math functions around being lerping and all that, managed to get it more stabilized. But and a function that I had personally more problems with was deformation. So we were like, how do we make like crashes more fun or like realistic? Because we had a health system. Whenever your car hit a barricade or something, you'll lose a portion of the car's health in the HUD. That will make the car slower and stuff. We're like, let's give a visual feedback that your car is just dying or something.
Yeah.
So one was that, oh, we should just make an entire script where the car's parts fall down. But we're like, oh, our 3D model is just one body. We need individual parts for each body kit. Well, that's going to take too long. And all that programming is also going to take a long time. But
you could just like show up some smoke coming from the bonnet of the car when it's like really damaged instead of, I know visuals are better, but with the limited time you had.
Yeah. But then one of my friends who not working in Unity but in Unreal told me you could maybe try vertex manipulation. I'm like, that's interesting. Let me look into that. So yeah, there's some documentations on Unity and some weird tutorials later. I tried to implement vertex manipulation in which wherever the collision happens, you move the vertices forcefully into a new position and then register it as a new 3D model, instantly put it there. It sort of worked, it sort of didn't work. We struggled a lot with it, but at the end, it caused a lot of problems with its rigid body physics because Unity really doesn't like its 3D models being altered in real time sometimes.
Yeah.
So at the end, we just made some small dents in smoke and stuff like that. We're like, it's simple. Let's focus more on the main aspects of gameplay and not these visual things.
I think that's more important though. I mean, you tried. That's the best part. You gave it all you had, and in the end, it kind of does work. And that's like the silver lining that we can just agree with. That at least we have something. So the thing about my game is that since you all are making 3D games, we chose a 2D game, so we don't have to deal with the extra axis, Z-axis. Our movements are simple: left, right, up, down. That's it. And the reason why I chose was that because it's easy to find people who can draw arts for 2D games. And with the limited time, I think I thought that maybe we could really put in all our time and effort into making it look good, making it feel good, adding different systems in that. So like our game, we don't have any complicated systems like the rally car has that like the accident system where it hits, it has to show the visuals, and like Etisham had the climbing up system where it has to detect ledges and stuff, and then Muhammad had, I think, the player detection. So we don't have that, but the systems that we implemented into our game were simple. We have a shop system where you can like purchase. So basically we have a story. Basically it's that you play as an Emirati woman and who lost her memory, fighting an evil spirit called Saya, which in Arabic means shadow. And she wiped your memory and sent you back in time. And basically, you have to rediscover your UAE and get to present and get to the present time and then fight off Saya again. So we made 2 levels. We distributed her memory into 2 memory fragments. Basically, you have to fight off each final boss to get your memory fragment, and in the end, basically you come back to the present time and you rediscover UAE, and in that way you will learn a great deal about it, and eventually you will kill Saya, and then or else she's going to do the same to the people of UAE, basically. So we in our game, we didn't have any problems. I would say we had some minor inconveniences, I would call that. Sometimes sometimes the collision doesn't work, sometimes the detection doesn't work, even though it's supposed to be detecting, it's not. I would say the hardest was creating a dash mechanic for my player, where you dash. But see, the problem is when you dash, you should not allow the player to move. Like, player should not be able to change direction left and right when dashing. But we actually spent a month over it, and the people at the Endless Studio, they had their own problems. They said that it doesn't feel that good. It's supposed to have a unique ability or something. It's not supposed to just be like you get from point A to point B. So in the end, we decided to add a damaging ability. So when you dash through enemies, you can damage them. And now we just have to change the input system, the way the way it initiates and all that. We haven't fixed that yet, but I think we have time for that. So
I have a question for you. So, in a 2D game, how do you basically determine the difficulty of the game? Like, generally, you have to like make it a little bit more difficult as you progress through the game. So,
Yeah.
for us, for instance, like we would make enemy have more abilities. I would just code in like. It wasn't just like coding in. We had to like get some particles and artifacts from the internet and everything. But in our game, we have like the enemies in the later part of the game. They have like more abilities. They can throw fire at you or lightning and something. So in a 2D game, how do we manage the difficulty of the game?
So in level 1, we have different kinds of enemies. There, like in the beginning, you will only find enemies who just patrol and detect you. And if they detect you, they will chase you. And if they get close enough, they will attack you. But if you progress throughout the level, we have traps that we have moving platforms that move up and down. So some places will be difficult to get to, and we have like different regions. So we have a desert time, then we have a dungeon part. Once you get to the dungeon part, there are rocks falling from roof. You have to dodge them. And there are special enemies in the dungeon. We have animals that patrol left and right. So, and like when you get to the end of the level, you have a final boss, and final boss will have a completely different abilities. For example, in the level 1, like the final boss of level 1 is he doesn't move, but he detects you. He shoots fireballs at you. If you get too close to him, you take ticking damage. It's basically like a heat wave that he emits from his body. So you can't stay too close to him for too long, or you will take that ticking damage. And once you hit him, he teleports to one of the 3 random positions that we have. For level 2, we have the same thing, but we added shooting. So we had to come up with different enemy AIs, like the ones that shoot you instead of like melee attack. Like there's no melee attack in level 2. You will find shooting enemies, and instead of trap, we have cannons that shoot fireballs at you. We have choppers that come and drop in special enemies that throw grenades at you. So it like the difficulty increases as you progress through the level.
All right.
All right. So I'm sorry. You can go ahead. That's fine.
Okay. So I want to ask a question. Like, since okay, what was it? Justice team mentioned about systems and mechanics. Like, I want to be clear of something. So, like, since the Unity is a powerful engine, it has a community. There are lots of systems up there that are ready. Like, for example, in our site, we wanted to use a vision system, like a detection system that's already pre-made. But since like some people like we find like versions that are for free, and we find versions that are like we need to pay for it. In the end, like we had to create our own, since like it wasn't really getting integrated in our game. But I noticed in Badriya, in Badriya they have like a dynamic parkour systems. They're using a dynamic parkour system, like I found on the internet, which was like very nice, and they're using other systems as well. So my question is, how do you get to integrate so many so many systems from the internet without having a lot of bugs? Or do you have a lot of bugs?
We have a lot of bugs. The problem was that we started off with, I had to change my player controller 3 times. So first I just went off and I said, why make something which is already made? It's on the internet. I can just take it, put it in my game, and if it works, it works. We may have to change some values, but it didn't. That's the thing. It didn't work the way I wanted it to work. So I had to go off to this guy who makes great videos on YouTube about.
Brackeys?
Initially, I went to Brachy, but it didn't work. It didn't work. Everyone goes to Brackies. Everyone goes to Brackies.
Yes.
I have seen so many of his videos and his methods that I have implemented in my game, but the character controller was not like one of it.
Yeah,
So
Brackeys is old.
yeah, Bracky's old. I think he stopped making videos.
Yes, that he stopped.
But his methods are easy to implement. It's easier to learn, and the way he explains and everything, it's really fun to watch. Even that. So I had to go to another YouTuber. He's a small YouTuber, and
Yes.
he was actually doing a whole project on 2D games. So I actually took his character controller and made changes, and that worked perfectly for me.
Yes.
So in the end, we had to go make a character controller from scratch because it won't work the way you want it to work, because your game may have something or some modifications that the guy didn't have. So everyone has to deal with bugs, and it's because it's not that simple. You just take the code and put it in. It won't just work because you should know where the problem is. You should know what you have to change or modify, and you should know like the things that you have to do to make it work, basically. If it was
Okay.
as simple
Yeah.
as
Yeah, I
go.
mean, I totally agree with you. Like, it is never simple. And as you talked about, like, our game actually does have like a lot of the systems integrated. And the thing is that I had some experience doing that beforehand. I tried to make some Grand Theft Auto style game, and I would get some code. And I think it's Jimmy Vegas videos from YouTube. I used to follow that guy a lot. But the thing is, then you need to know, you get few skills once you start doing these things. Like in one of our stream, I'm showing how did I make like a checkpoint and respawn system, right? So I got like a abilities combat, like it was a cheap asset for like the fighting and everything mechanics, because the thing is we didn't have much time to implement it all from scratch. So I got that, and I read through a little bit of their documentation, and I understood which scripts are do I need to implement a respawn system, and what happens when the player dies, and how to change animations and how they are doing that. So I learned to know that that system was very difficult to integrate with things. So but still that is working very well in the other areas, like with combat and everything. So I wanted to use that. So I started looking into certain methods. It was the thing is, when you buy some asset, you have to like look how the programming and everything is. So mostly this assets that are for sale, they use very good techniques for programming. They have all things commented out. They have meaningful variable names, meaningful function names. So I got to understand which function I need to work on. So it was zero health manager. Whenever the player dies, this function runs. So I read through the script, and I knew what to do to make the player respawn. So I integrated something. I mean, I modified it all according to my needs. But yeah, I got like very a lot of bugs, but it was like it took me 3 to 4 days to understand whole system. But once I understood that system, I was able to implement many things with it. Like now I was thinking that climbing is boring if you go on with like climbing, so you have to do some things like Prince of Persia do like spiked rollers and some booby traps and things like that. So I knew if I need to put that in the game, I knew what to change in that script that I got from asset. So I just went there, I found certain methods to adjust health, I imported them. So yeah, the thing is, when you get an asset, you have to go through everything from the documentation. That was
So you bought an asset from like the Unity store?
No,
You
actually, I
did.
had it
Okay.
before. I bought that earlier. It was abilities and combat system. If you see it, it's a very big system. Because the thing is, I didn't want to, as you said, that once you created like a small enemy, they're chasing out, but then the boss, it shoots things, and you have to make a new AI controller and everything.
Yes.
I didn't have time for that because we have like I was
3D.
responsible also for level designing and gray boxing, and it's 3D, of course.
Yeah.
And there are cutscenes and timeline and everything. So that's why I just bought it. I just learned what is in there, and then I just started modifying it.
Everyone should do that, instead of if something is available, you should use that instead of building something new.
Right. Okay. I have a question, like not kind of question, but I was just curious. Has anyone been into game jams?
No.
Oh, no one here has been into game
I have
jams?
been. If you can
I
still hear
can't
me.
hear Muhammad
Yeah.
if he's
Did
talking
you
about
finish the
Mohammed
game?
is-
Did you finish the game?
Yeah, I've
Which
attended
game?
like 4
The
game
Huruf, you mean?
jams, but all my games are like,
Oh,
if he
he's talking?
finished.
Mhm.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, he can't
I
hear
can't
me.
see him in the streaming, but I can see him on YouTube. I see him raise his hand for a moment. So yes, so just tell us
The
about your
YouTube
experience.
is a bit back,
Yeah.
it lags a bit, so it's not
Yes.
like
Yeah.
real time.
Okay, so
But
just
yeah.
speak about your experience in game jams, and then when you're done, I'll go ahead.
Okay, so I first started with game jam because one of my professors recommended me the best way to learn how to make good games is to do game jams.
So
'Cause you're
you were
like on a-
alone, or did you have a team?
So 2 of them I did by myself, and 2 of them I did with like 2 other people, like mostly like my classmates.
Mhm.
But essentially, I was recommended that's the fastest way to learn things because you fail fast, you do things very fast on a small schedule. But I think my experience with them is for like each game jam, you have to suck less. You have to make a slightly less shitty game every game jam until you reach a point where your games start being bad and be mediocre, and then so on and so forth until you start making good games. I think that's an important lesson I learned from game jam is how you can just, try out different stuff, fail at it, and then, realize what to fix later on when you're like doing something more important, like, Kutban in like a bigger project.
Uh-huh. I think Mohammed also had to say something about game jams. Did you participate?
You mean Hamad? Or...
Okay,
Yeah.
Hamad.
Yes. So like game jams is like the starting point. It's the way of integrating your knowledge into into making games. I'm not sure. I haven't heard everything of what Muhammad said. I just heard like he had to work on like a tight schedule, which is right. Some game jams go on for 1 day only. Some game jams 3 days. Some game jams 7 days, and some even go for a year. But my experience, I had to be in a game jam for 3 days and perhaps 1 month.
Did you have a team or were you alone?
Okay, sometimes like I used to be alone. Sometimes I had to be in an online team. The problem is with working online, since COVID happened, like before, like when you go to game jams, you go to a room, like for example, global game jam, you go to a conference room and you have to get to know people and build trust. That's the thing. But in online, the thing is, people have their own lives, so you don't know how much they progress on. And one mistake I did, there was this game jam that I have been in. Like, I decided to be an artist since I wanted to do pixel art. I have a sprite. The problem is, like, I'm not sure if I was working with a teenager or they had the engine and they didn't know how to use it. Some people say to themselves, okay, I have Unity or I have Game Maker. Okay, I can make games. That's very wrong. You have to learn that first. And I made the mistake of just being an artist. And then I see they do so many errors in the end. We didn't submit anything. So it's just a good way of experiencing failure and you learn how to trust someone and how to work together
As a team,
Yes.
I never had an experience like an opportunity to participate in a game jam, but if I did, I'm down for game jam.
Yes,
mean,
there
we
is a Brackies game jam on Sunday. If
It's
you-
international, right? It's international.
Yes.
Right? You
You
join
will
in.
see people. You will see like small indie game companies, like not companies, like indie game groups. They make the best games ever. Like
I know
in a game jam.
within like limited time. I don't think I can participate with this project ongoing. I mean, I want to finish this first, and then if I ever have an opportunity. But yeah, as you said, that working online is like if you have the opportunity to work with a team in person, I think that would be way better.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
online people get lazy. People don't. People think that, oh yeah, I'm just gonna do it tomorrow. It's not like no need. They don't know that okay, maybe maybe I'm holding my team back. Maybe they need this. I'm holding my team back, and as a team, everyone has to work together. So
Yeah, definitely.
exactly, and you have the time. You can use the extra time to fix errors, or maybe make that thing even like better. But game jams are the best way to learn, I would say, because one thing, you're under pressure. You get to work with random people. Are they I was thinking like why don't they do game jams in UAE?
There are, but they're in Arabic.
They're not.
Like I have seen them.
So you can use Unity, or they say that you can use any engine.
They can use. There's an engine called Love 2D. There's Game Salad. There's like there are a lot of game engines that you can use. Like this. There is a game jam in the Middle East for Arabs called Game Zanga. It's happening in 2 days. I'll be joining, and I'll try my best to work for myself. Like I have the energy drink ready, and I have the experience right now to work on
Yeah.
myself only.
I think so. Only Arabs can participate in that.
Like I'm not sure if like people who just know English can try to use Google Translate. I don't recommend that.
Oh,
But I just like to see like people from Algeria, people from Saudi Arabia, people from other parts of the Middle East make games. Like I've seen people like Arab people, like they're talented, but they have talent. But like I was going to speak about project management,
mhm.
but we can leave that for later. I mean, but okay, I'll just speak about it. Like there are many talents in the like, for example, in the Middle East, but there are not that many game companies since like because in other parts of the world you see like a lot of funding happens for
Game studios.
yes, but in UAE it's not that common. In
I
the
would
Middle
say
East,
that
that's
it's
not that
growing.
common.
I would say it's growing.
Yes, especially in Abu Dhabi. In Abu Dhabi there is. So we're seeing a change. We're witnessing a change right now. I hope.
I think you're the first local programmer or game developer that I met, because I haven't seen so many like Arab guys into programming. I mean, they're good engineers. I've seen good engineers, good businessmen, but programming, it's such a
Game programming.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Something that I won't expect an Arab guy to do, but yeah, it's
Yes, like in Middle East, I don't think you can find like creativity. Like you can find art, but you can't find creativity in that sector, in game development. But right now it's like a little bit growing. Like there's this one big guy called Rami Ismail. Like he is an Arab game developer. He's very amazing. He worked on Warframe. He worked on like as a programmer. He worked on Warframe. He worked on I can't remember. Like,
All right, so guys, I have a question. So we all started like Unity before like taking on this project, and we were like programming and everything. But for my personal experience, I thought that in this particular project, I had something to motivate me, and to I had something to look on, right? So with my previous projects, I couldn't complete them, as I talked about like GTA clone or something like that. I could not. So for like the people that are beginning into like game programming, so do you guys have any tips for them, like what to do, where to start, or just like that?
I would say that if you're I wouldn't say that go right with like 3D. I would say maybe start with 2D, get to know if you're like for the first time programming or getting into game development, get into 2D, learn the basics, learn how things work, collider, we have rigid body, and then you can move on to 3D with that extra access, that was missing in 3D. Sorry, 2D. So I would say that you should start with 2D. Go to Bracky's channel. Make sure to go to Bracky's channel. Watch his tutorials. And if you're interested in being a game developer or like making games, I think you will find your way eventually.
Yes.
Yeah, 2D games are very underrated. And even not even just developing the game, even when playing the game
Okay,
itself.
yeah, that's true. But then, like, as you talked about, like going from 2D, did you guys like? For me, like when I started computer science, so what we did was like we had a software called processing. If you have heard about it, so what you can do is you can like it's basically you get a canvas and you can draw things and animate images, manipulate sprites and everything. So we did make like a Mario style game in our very first class in computer science. So did you guys have any that kind of experience, or in like computer science, where you had to make a 2D game with just programming and some software like processing?
You made it as like you made the game because you wanted, or it was a project from university?
No, it was a project from university.
Ah, okay. I started making games in Java, just in Java. So that was really difficult because Java is not a game engine.
Yeah.
If you want, yeah, in Unity, if you want to move an object, you can just go to the transform tool, drag it. But in Java, you have to actually code it. Oh, this transform move this much axis, these are the new coordinates. So I made Flappy Bird in Java, but then it was very hard. I had to watch like 6 or 7 different people at once, and I was like, okay, this guy has this problem, but he knows how to solve it, so I'll go with this one. But I would say that don't go to Java if you want to begin like learning. Just go to Unity. You won't have to do things that are like useless things. Like if you want to move an object, you should just be able to move it like in Unity, right? And if you want to make games, you should use a game engine instead of using just a like a runtime environment like Java, Eclipse, or something.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I got like another question for you. Like, I never worked on a 2D game in an engine. So, do you feel that like how much time there would be like from transition from 2D to 3D? Because I did like just like you, as you're saying, like you did in a Java runtime, like Eclipse and something. So that's why I just came in and started like doing 3D and everything. So a person should like spend how much time in like 2D before transitioning to 3D?
I would say make two or three full games that covers the entire concept of different systems we have, and then you can move on to 3D. The thing about game development is when I asked Fadi, he said that I don't know how to make games, and I was like, come, you'll learn along the way. And now he made 2 levels. You see, a guy who didn't use Unity, and now he made 2 levels. It's that easy. It just takes a bit of time. I mean, you obviously have to learn, but I think that if Fadi within 2 or 3 months he can make his own game, I can say that with confidence.
Yeah, you're right. And then when we use Unity, as you said, like why Unity other than like other engines? So you said like because Unity has a lot of like documentation, a lot of people using it. They have like forums and there. I mean, every person has encountered that error that you are going to encounter, almost every error. So but then again, like if you want to do something without any inspiration, with just like from your mind, like I'm going to make some out of the world game, like for which you have to develop your mechanics, like maybe you know like Spider-Man game before it came, like it had very different set of mechanics, like pole swinging and web shooting and things like that. So if someone want to develop that kind of game, then should they like what should they do actually? What do you guys think? Like,
They shouldn't. Okay, go on, Fadi, go on. Yeah.
Yes. One more thing, like, do you want to implement a new mechanic that no one has thought of? You first have to sketch, write down every
I agree
aspect of
with
the
that.
mechanic, every rule of the mechanic, what the mechanic can do, what the mechanic can't do, what are the variables of the mechanic. So like when you start programming, you know how to talk with the game engine so it can process the mechanic in the game.
Mohammed, you also had something to say.
Yeah, I was just like, I mean, they're obviously
What
new.
happened?
So
I didn't hear
just tell him
what
I'm
he said.
speaking.
Okay,
If
whatever.
you can't hear it. Okay. So I was going to just say, I mean, no matter how original your concept is,
Oh.
I mean, for me, I found it at the end, you're always remixing something. Even though it's heavily remixed, you're making something really creative. But at the end, you're essentially taking two existing concepts and adding your own cool little flavor to it.
Exactly.
I mean, that's how essentially creativity works in some schools of thought. They always like you take something, you remix it, and you make it something new. So, for example, web swinging, there might be a game where you use a grapple hook, but in the grapple hook, you only use it at specific areas just to do a certain objective. But someone could have like, oh, why not just take that thing, remix it, and make it into something that's based around the entire game, like swinging around with a grappling hook. But someone's like, oh, let's just make it a web or spider web or something. So in the end, I mean, there's essentially whenever you're creating something new, there's always something to refer back to. There's always some idea you can pick it up from, remix it, and make your own special flavor of it.
I agree with that. I totally agree. So guys, we're running out of time here. If you guys have any questions, please let us know in the comments. It was really great talking with every member of the team here.
Yes. Check out our Discord. If you have any questions, you can ask us on Discord. And
check out our Discord, our games, and
yes, if you have time, go to today's Al Ghurub final stream. I'll be there.
Make sure to check out Team Al Ghurub. They're presenting after this, so please stay tuned for that.
Yes.
Yeah. Give us any feedback about the try games.
We should have talked more about games. What are games that we are playing or that we like or love.
I don't think so. We talked about game jams, and that's really enough. Game jams are better.
No, but there has to be something that you play on daily basis. Oh, okay, I want a break. I'll just go play this game. I'll just go play.
Oh, I play Unity.
Oh my god!
I play my game. Yeah.
You will only see me in Unity.
Yes.
All right, guys. That's it for us. Thank you for joining in, Basil, and everyone who joined. Faris, Lahan.
right. See you later.
Goodbye,
See you
guys.
guys.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.